I never imagined my life would take this turn. I caught my wife cheating after I asked her to help my best friend cope with his wife's passing. Later, she had an abortion because she wasn't sure who the father was. I don't even know how to begin processing this. The pain is overwhelming, and words fail to describe how I feel. I initially made this account to see if anyone had gone through something similar. Unfortunately, I've learned that betrayal like this isn't as rare as I had hoped.
I apologize for the length of this post. I just need to get this all out before I lose my mind.
Sue and I met in college when we were both 18. From our first date, we clicked instantly, and within weeks, we were saying, "I love you." She pursued me first, and I was grateful she did. We shared our deepest insecurities and secrets. When her father passed away during her senior year, I stood by her side through it all. He had pancreatic cancer, and I spent countless nights at the hospital with her so she wouldn't be alone. That experience only strengthened our bond. She once told me she didn't know what she would have done without me. She called me her soulmate. I knew I was going to marry her, and 2 years after graduation, I did. At the time, my life felt perfect. I had a great job, a wonderful wife, and the love and support of both our families. Then there was Dave, my best friend since 3rd grade, the brother I never had. I trusted him completely. He was married too, but about a year ago, his wife was killed in a car crash. It devastated him. Afterward, he moved back to our hometown, but he was never the same. I tried to be there for him, but nothing seemed to help. That's when I asked my wife to talk to him, thinking she might relate to his grief since she had also lost someone close. I see now how naive that was. At first, we visited Dave together, but soon, my wife started spending hours with him, without me. They went on hikes, watched movies, grabbed lunch, things couples do. It made me uncomfortable, but Dave seemed to be doing better, so I told myself it was fine. Here's the irony: Sue had always disliked Dave. She used to call him a womanizer and questioned why I stayed friends with someone who had such low morals. Before he got married, he jumped from relationship to relationship.
And even after he settled down,
he cheated on his wife constantly. Knowing this, I never suspected anything between them. But then things changed. Sue started acting distant. She was glued to her phone, avoided intimacy, came home late. The signs were there, but I ignored them, until one night. When I asked who she was texting, she said it was a friend. When I asked to see, she snapped, calling me possessive. I confronted Dave too. He acted offended, insisting that I was being paranoid and that I should trust them both. I was being gaslit. Then, one day, Sue said she needed space. She claimed my accusations were suffocating her and that she'd be staying at her sister's for a week. That didn't sit right with me, so I called her sister to confirm. She said Sue was supposed to visit but hadn't arrived yet. It was 10 p.m. Sue had left at 3 p.m. Her sister's house was only 4 hours away. Something told me to drive to Dave's house, and when I got there, I saw my wife's car parked outside. My stomach dropped. I already knew, but I had to see for myself. I went through the back door, one I knew Dave always left unlocked. As I stepped inside, I heard noises. I followed them to his bedroom. Through the crack in the door, I saw her, my wife, bent over his nightstand. That image is burned into my mind forever. I was shaking, but I pushed the door open. They both froze. In that moment, I felt an anger so intense it scared me. It took everything in me not to lose control. Without a word, I turned and walked out. Sue screamed after me, begging me to stop, saying she could explain. I didn't want to hear it. I drove away, sobbing the entire way. My phone buzzed nonstop with calls and messages from both of them, but I ignored them all. For the past week, I've been staying with a friend from college. I can't eat, I can't sleep. The betrayal plays on a loop in my head. My job gave me time off after I explained the situation, and my family knows what happened, but I haven't responded to anyone besides them. I feel broken. I feel like my entire world was ripped apart, and worst of all, I feel like I don't even know the person I married. She confessed to our families. I don't know why. Guilt, damage control. She also sent me an email apologizing and explaining that she got pregnant but had an abortion because she wasn't sure if the baby was mine or Dave's. That shattered me all over again. I don't know what to do. I still love her, and I hate myself for that, but I don't think I can ever forgive her. Should I even consider reconciliation, or is that just setting myself up for more heartbreak? I've been away from everyone for 2 weeks now, and the pain still feels as raw as the night I caught them. I just need clarity. I need help. I close my eyes, and all I see is Sue and Dave together. The pain hasn't lessened. If anything, it feels sharper with time. I know most of you are telling me to divorce her, and if I were on the outside looking in, I'd say the same, but when you're the one living through it, things aren't so black and white.
Given everything I've learned,
I'd appreciate advice, especially from those who've been in my shoes. Betrayed spouses, waywards who've come clean. How did you move past this? Is it even possible? Right now, I'm almost certain I'll move forward with the divorce, but I need reassurance that I'm making the right choice. I've read all your comments, and I feel like I should clarify a few things. Sue has been staying with her sister for the past few weeks, at least. That's what she and our families tell me. In one of her emails, she claimed she's only spoken to Dave once since I caught them and has since gone full no contact. Her mother even reached out to apologize for Sue's actions. I didn't answer her calls, but she sent a text saying Sue is in individual counseling now. In another email, Sue wrote that she was never planning to leave me for Dave. She admitted she had feelings for him, but she insisted she didn't love him. That hit me in the worst way. Dave is supposedly leaving town soon, but apparently, he wants to talk to me before he goes. I don't know what for. Some family and friends think I should at least hear Sue out before making a final decision, and that's where I'm at right now. Update 2. I took some time away from Reddit and social media to reflect on my marriage and what I wanted moving forward. Advice was pouring in from everywhere, here, my family, my friends, but I needed to clear my head. A lot has happened since then.
so this might be long.
When I looked back on our marriage, most of it was filled with happy memories. That's why I was trying so hard to find a reason to stay. But then I thought about the cheating, the lies, the gaslighting, and all I felt was rage. The deeper I dug, the angrier I became. I'll never forget how furious Sue would get whenever I asked where she'd been after coming home late, or the disgusted look Dave gave me when I asked him, man to man, if anything was going on. The betrayal was bad enough, worse was that it was with my best friend, but the gaslighting, that's what broke me. I was made to feel like I was crazy. They played me for a fool, and I let them, but it takes a certain kind of person to lie that easily, that effortlessly. 2 days before I caught them, Sue came home late and acted like nothing was wrong. She told me how much she loved me, how turned on she was just thinking about me. Now, looking back, I'm almost certain she had just come from Dave's. She wasn't wearing any panties. And I kissed her. That realization made me sick. It made me feel weak, like I had let them walk all over me, like I was some kind of joke to them. I felt emasculated. I won't lie, there were moments when I wanted to head over to Dave's house and beat the hell out of him. But there's no justice for me, not in this system. They get to destroy me mentally, but if I retaliate, I'm the one who ends up in handcuffs. My lawyer warned me against doing anything stupid. Not only would it land me in jail, but it would hurt my case in the divorce. She suggested therapy. I refused. I don't see the point. Sue kept sending emails. The more I read, the angrier I got. The same empty apologies. The same, I can't live without you, nonsense. She even had the nerve to send me Bible verses on forgiveness. If I mattered so much, why do it? I went back to work because I needed to keep my mind occupied. Staying busy helped, and I wasn't drinking as much as before. One day at work, I got a letter from Sue. At first, I wanted to toss it, but curiosity got the better of me. She wrote about her therapy sessions and how they'd helped her uncover deep-seated issues, especially her low self-esteem. She admitted that she had always felt insecure about our relationship, that the difference in our attractiveness made her self-conscious. She said she always compared herself to her sister, who she believed was much prettier. Even though I made her feel beautiful, she claimed she needed outside validation. She apologized again, saying none of that excused what she did but that she wanted me to understand. Then she asked if I would consider marriage counseling. I didn't respond. I ignored her and her family's messages. Instead, I started the divorce process. First, I had to untangle our finances. Unfortunately, I couldn't touch our joint savings account without her approval. Even though I had contributed most of the money, I would likely have to split it 50-50ths. Annoying.
But not unexpected.
I moved forward with filing the divorce papers anyway. Then the real madness started. The day she was served, she showed up at my apartment, divorce petition in hand. I don't know how she even found out where I was staying. We just stared at each other for what felt like forever. The moment I saw her, everything came flooding back, the pain, the betrayal, the humiliation. I almost teared up again, but I held it together. She looked awful, like she had been crying for days. Then, out of nowhere, she rushed toward me and tried to hug me. I gently pushed her away. That set her off. She started sobbing, asking why I was giving up on us so easily, begging me to at least talk things through. I didn't want to deal with her. Seeing her made me feel everything all over again, and I just wanted to leave before I said something I'd regret. But as I tried to get into my car, she threw herself onto the hood. I asked her what she wanted. She said she just wanted to talk, that we couldn't end our marriage like this, not without at least clearing the air. I relented. She wasn't going to take no for an answer, and she was already making a scene. Inside, I sat down and let her speak. Again, she begged me to reconsider. She claimed she didn't love Dave, that she was sorry, that she would do anything to fix our marriage. She even suggested a trial separation instead of a divorce. She said I could date whoever I wanted,
as long as I didn't finalize the divorce.
She wanted a chance to rebuild our friendship first, and then, maybe, our marriage. She even suggested a one-sided open marriage where I could see other people, but she wouldn't. She showed me stories of couples who survived infidelity, even suggested we move to a different state, or country, to start over. That part actually hurt me, because for the first time, I saw just how desperate she was. But none of it changed what she did. None of it erased the months of lies, the way she made me feel like I was losing my mind. I don't know what I'm going to say to her yet, but I do know this. I'm not staying. Not long before everything fell apart, my wife and I had talked about moving and starting a family. Now, after everything that's happened, that memory just makes everything hurt more. When she finished talking, we just sat there in silence. Then I asked, why? Why him? Why cheat on me with my best friend, and only try to come back after I caught you? She broke down crying and said she felt guilty the whole time but didn't know how to stop. She admitted that she was so caught up in the affair that she never considered the consequences. Counseling made her realize that, because of her self-esteem issues, she probably would have cheated at some point, if not with Dave, then with someone else. I asked if she loved Dave. She swore she didn't, that she hadn't spoken to him since I left, and that she didn't even know where he was now. She insisted she only loved me and that she'd do anything to fix our marriage. Then I asked if she had ever cheated on me before this. She swore on her dead father that this was the first and only time. I also asked who else knew, and after hesitating, she admitted her sister found out a few days before I did and told her to stop and confess. To those of you who suspected her sister knew, you were right. I asked her why she was begging me to stay instead of just being with Dave. Was she only doing this because she felt like it was the right thing, or did she actually want to be with me? She said she was fighting for us because she loved me and regretted everything. We talked for a long time, mostly her crying. I was past that. I had cried enough when I first found out. Then I asked if there was anything else she hadn't told me. She started sobbing again and asked me not to get mad. That's when I knew something bad was coming. I told her to just say it. She finally admitted she found out she was pregnant shortly after I left. She got an abortion because she wasn't sure who the father was. She said if it was Dave's, there would be no chance of fixing things between us. I was in shock. She begged me not to let this end our relationship, but I just felt numb. I told her to leave. I asked how far along she was when she found out, and she said a few weeks. Then it hit me. Wait, in your email, you said you only started sleeping with Dave a week before I found out. Was that a lie? She nodded. She nodded. She admitted she said that to minimize the damage, so I wouldn't know the full truth. She finally confessed that the affair had been physical for almost a month. She tried to comfort me, but I pushed her away and told her to get out. She begged me to talk again after I had time to process everything. I refused. Then I told her I had found a job in another state and would be leaving as soon as the divorce was finalized. In our state, there's a mandatory 2-month waiting period after filing. I had already planned this, and my boss already knew I was leaving. Hearing that sent her into another wave of crying and pleading. I told her to go, or I'd call the police. She left, and I just sat there, wondering where it all went wrong. How did my marriage fall apart so fast? I couldn't understand it. Before, I was pretty sure I wanted a divorce. After that conversation, I was absolutely sure. I ignored all of Sue's attempts to contact me after that. Then, a few days ago, on Thursday, I got a call from my mom. Sue was in the hospital. She had overdosed. This felt like a nightmare. I didn't know how to process it. Why was all this happening? I went to visit her. She was asleep, but she was alive. They had put her in a psych ward. It hurt to see her like that because, despite everything, I still loved her. At that moment, I was just relieved she was okay. I wasn't even thinking about the divorce anymore. I don't know what to do now. I know I've left out a lot of details, but adding them would make this post even longer. I just need advice on what to do next. Update 3. I really hoped my last post would be the final one, but here I am again. It's been about 8 months since my life completely fell apart, and somehow, things keep getting worse. I won't go into every detail, but I'll share enough to get your thoughts. You guys have been more helpful than you know. Last time I posted, Sue was in a really bad mental state. She eventually got better with therapy. I felt sorry for her, but I knew I couldn't stay. Some people can get past something like this, but I know myself, I wouldn't have been able to. If I stayed, I'd just resent her, and that wouldn't be fair to either of us. We agreed to divorce, but she wanted to stay in touch, even if just a little. The divorce process was smooth, and we officially split up about a month ago. I moved to the West Coast for a fresh start. Things were finally starting to look up. Then, I got another phone call about Sue. Her sister told me that Sue had suffered a stroke. She's almost completely paralyzed on her left side and can barely speak. I can't even explain how devastating it was to hear that, but seeing her, that was worse. She looked like a completely different person, and every time she saw me, she just cried. The worst part, I can't shake the feeling that this is my fault. Everyone tells me it isn't, even her family says it's not, but I can tell there's some resentment there. Her aunt even cussed me out in front of everyone when I visited her, and no one defended me, they just stayed quiet. They told me to leave it alone and move on with my life. I wish I could, but how am I supposed to, knowing how things turned out? I haven't spoken to Sue since the stroke. Her family won't let me see her anymore because they say I stress her out. I don't even know the full details because, legally, I have no right to. I just can't catch a break. __me, I guess.